Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Darby. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. First up, should come as no surprise, Tesla will not be compensating the protesters. Tesla apparently used a WeChat group that the protesters were using to tell them they have no plans to offer any compensation. And just to be clear, the narrative now is that these Chinese customers are saying that the reps at the Tesla stores were telling them that there were no price drops coming when they specifically asked about it, which certainly would be not great on Tesla's look, but in my opinion, I don't really think most of these stores in Tesla China would have known about the price drops ahead of time, if at all. So I would take that narrative with a grain of salt, and don't forget what Elon said back in April 2019. So if we raise prices in the future, will you cut Tesla a check? You can't have it both ways. Goldman Sachs has chosen to name Tesla and GM as their top 2023 picks, calling Tesla a cost and tech leader, and get this, said GM is among the leaders in autonomy. Now, for me, to say that GM is leading in autonomy when they're only operating in a handful of markets and they're still losing money and they're employing a totally different strategy than Tesla that I personally don't think is as scalable as some others might, all of that hurts Goldman Sachs' credibility in my book, but passing along anyway. This was making its rounds today. It was actually initially reported last week though. Mexico News Daily saying that this company, Itech, is investing $100 million at a new factory in Mexico. This is a Chinese tech company. The factory supposedly will be in Santa Catarina, which yes, should be right next to this potential Tesla factory that we have upcoming in Nuevo Leon that we've been talking about. And they say Tesla is one of Itech's main clients, along with GM, Facebook, and Google. For what it's worth, I looked around the web and could not find much of anything about this company. I think this could be their LinkedIn page, but notice there's no I, so I guess possibly it's a different one, but it seems like the company that we're talking about. As you can see, specialties really are user experience and app and web development. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens, but something feels a little off about this one to me. I was able to find this as well, and if you scroll down, you'll see the date of corporation of this company was just about 1 year ago. And I was not able to find anything else about what exactly Itech would do for Tesla. So if you find anything, let me know below. In case you've been wanting more features for your Apple Watch with your Tesla, if you use the Stats app or are open to it, you don't need LTE for the watch, and you can get some cool new features just using Bluetooth. I will include this thread with all of the instructions below. So yes, you can use your watch as a key. You can use the Bluetooth to unlatch the driver door, unlock and drive the car, open the front and the trunk, and open the charge port, among others. And for what it's worth, I've heard mostly glowing reviews about the Stats app in general. Drive Tesla Canada reporting that the rear-wheel drive Model 3 had more than double the sales of the next closest competitor when considering vehicles that qualified for the federal IZEV incentive, and the Model 3 rear-wheel drive was not even eligible for all of 2022. Here's the list of the top-selling BEVs in Canada for 2022. Again, the ones that qualified for the IZEV incentive. Here we have an article that's really well done from Clean Technica talking about the IRS and the EPA and the classification of the Model Y and other vehicles when it comes to the Inflation Reduction Act. We won't get into too much detail here because things are still up in the air and things could still change, of course, over the next 2 months. A Treasury spokesperson said to Clean Technica, in determining how vehicles should be classified, the administration used CAFE standards, which are pre-existing and long-standing EPA regulations that manufacturers are familiar with. These standards offer clear criteria for delineating between cars and SUVs. I would disagree. And things get even more confusing because the EPA has different classifications for a truck SUV and another one for a car SUV. This article is all about how the IRS arrived at an SUV classification that aligns with those CAFE standards, which are administered by NHTSA, that's actually different than the EPA's fuel economy label classifications. Personally, I found this flowchart to be very helpful in understanding, does the vehicle have a third row that can fold flat? If not, does the vehicle have four-wheel drive? If not, Is the vehicle rated at more than 6,000 pounds gross vehicle weight? So by this logic, the reason that the Model Y 5-seater is not classified as an SUV, of course it's no to this one, it would be yes to this one, which takes us down here, and things get a lot more confusing, talking about approach angles, breakover angles, and different things, which then have the Model Y not as an SUV. But to everybody that was saying the ground clearance does matter, that is indeed correct. There is a report from the EPA that says Tesla has the highest proportion of car SUVs in their lineup that, yes, would be currently snubbed from the SUV price cap. It also shows only around 11% of Tesla customers choose these 7-seat configurations that would qualify as a truck SUV with the higher $80,000 SUV price cap. So the Treasury decision to classify vehicles differently than the EPA, despite the text of the IRA requiring it to do so, has of course stirred controversy, and it still snubs the most popular EVs from the higher SUV price cap, any 5-seat Tesla Model Y, the Mustang Mach-E, and rear-wheel drive versions of the ID.4. So we'll see if there are any changes after this public comment period that ends at the end of February. Full article will be linked below. From Tesla Twitter, the Model S and the Model Y received the highest overall safety scores among every vehicle tested by Euro NCAP in 2022 and shared the following chart. And there were 84 vehicles tested using this protocol. And directly from the Euro NCAP website, they just put out a press release for their best-in-class results for 2022. And scrolling down, you'll see a list of winners. You have the Tesla Model Y winning in the small off-road category, and the Tesla Model S winning the executive car category. And earlier this week, I talked about watching the Ioniq 6 2023 version as a car to watch, and the Ioniq 6 for 2022 won Best in Class for the large family car category. And I'll also drop these links below if you'd like to read more. Australia is laying out the blueprint with its largest electrified bus depot that has 55 electric buses, a rooftop solar array, and on-site battery and charging infrastructure. The operators have said that this blueprint has shown the electric bus fleets require less charging than was forecast. With regenerative braking, the buses often come back to the depot with a significant amount of charge still available. Obviously, this is fantastic as it reduces the load on the recharging infrastructure. And yes, this electric bus depot does pair a Tesla Megapack with the rooftop solar array for this blueprint of the future. You guys may recall back in December of 2022, there were reports like this citing a labor disaster at Giga Berlin. And for some context, at the time, Giga Berlin was employing around 7,000 employees. Well, fast forward to today, and if this report from GF for Tesla is true, Giga Berlin is now up to 8,500 employees, much closer to the target of 12,000 for this first stage of expansion. Now, unfortunately, I have not yet been able to verify a source of this information, so we'll definitely be careful with this number, but I'll continue looking to try to confirm it. We got yet another report that Tesla is still nearing this preliminary deal for a factory in Indonesia, but we did get some new information this time around. So Tesla is still close to this deal for a factory there, but they're saying the plant would produce as many as 1 million cars per year. And they do have plans for multiple facilities in the country that would serve different functions, including production and supply chain, according to the source. But a deal has not been signed, and this agreement could still fall through. We've been hearing this drumbeat now for months. As you may recall, Tesla did sign a $5 billion nickel supply agreement with Indonesia last year, but then Indonesia has been negotiating to get Tesla to actually build cars there and not just use them for the resources. But I would say most importantly, whether the next factory is in Mexico, whether it's Indonesia, whether it's Canada, whether it's a combination of all three, Tesla is clearly moving forward with plans to add capacity. So if they were actually really worried about demand, do you really think they'd be planning 1 to 3 new gigafactories? I personally don't. So again, are we going to have a slowdown over the next 6 months? Most likely. But again, Tesla is not thinking in terms of months. They think in terms of years. And I'll just say personally, I guess I've been expecting Tesla to only announce one new factory. But based on the reporting over the past few weeks, I will not be surprised if we get two new ones, that one in Indonesia and one in Mexico in Nuevo Leon. Reason being, the negotiations seem pretty far along and have been going on for some time, but as the article said, they could still fall through, so we'll see. We also got reports today that Tesla is considering entering the Turkish market in some shape or fashion, as the Minister of Industry and Technology, Mustafa Varank, has had meetings with Tesla executives at the Fremont factory. Varank has said Tesla's activities regarding entering the Turkish market with its charging stations are already underway, and he emphasized their aim is to attract Tesla's investment in technology, saying Turkey has a very serious incentive system, especially in terms of investment and R&D. And he said, for us, Tesla's investment in technology and production is more important. We have submitted our proposals regarding these. So these negotiations seem to be in more of a preliminary stage, but Varank did get information about the cars developed by Tesla and different production models again at the Fremont factory. So we shall see what, if anything, comes of these talks. Here we have a chart from Lars Leisdahl, who's a partner at Rystad Energy, basically going over the battery energy storage market, naming some of the other bigger players like Fluence, Siemens, Honeywell, and Nidec. And on this chart that was compiled by his company Rystad, as you can see, Tesla is the only company on this list that is completely vertically integrated across the entire stack. Everything from battery cells, modules, the rack, the energy storage system, power equipment, EMS, and handling the project development as well. I think you get the picture. Again, the more that's vertically integrated means the less margin Tesla has to pay to other suppliers, and ultimately the more money Tesla will make. From Reuters, we got a quick update on the racial discrimination case going on against Tesla. A judge ruled late last night dismissing Tesla's countersuit that was claiming the agency did not notify Tesla of the bias allegations or give Tesla a chance to settle before suing it last February. The judge gave Tesla until February 3rd to file an amended complaint. And from Joe Tetmeyer, he shared today that the fog has cleared and there are even more IDRA GigaPress deliveries. Now the question I think becomes, have there been two delivered? So looking at these images, you can see some of these major IDRA boxes. And we saw the images of some parts already inside the building over the past few weeks. So we'll see what we can find in the days ahead. We got a new press release from RMI, which is just a nonprofit basically trying to lead the global energy transformation, creating standard procedures, doing some lobbying, and just ensuring that the transition continues to move forward. Well, they just announced the formation of the Virtual Power Plant Partnership, or VP3. This is made possible by GM and Google Nest, and now they're including the founding members Ford, GM, Google Nest. You may also know Span, SunPower, Sunrun, and Virtual Peaker. So honestly, this is a great organization to have, again, to try to transform the policy, especially over the next 2 years, to support the scaling of VPPs and doing so profitably. And they said virtual power plants are poised for explosive growth. Again, who's really leading the way here when it comes to integrating this technology? The answer is Tesla. So this group will be cataloging, doing research, and communicating the VPP benefits, developing industry-wide best practices and standards, and again, informing and shaping the policy development. Porsche put out a new press release that was very detailed. I'll just give you the main takeaways, but they're saying in 2025, they want to have more than half of all new Porsche cars to be electrified. That does include hybrids, but they're announcing their new premium platform electric platform, which the first car on this will be the upcoming Macan. This premium platform electric has been developed by Porsche and Audi together for a new architecture for all electric cars. Again, first one will be the Macan using the 800 volt architecture, and Porsche is saying this PPE platform will enable a wide range of models. Porsche is saying the Macan models will have battery packs with a capacity around 100 kilowatt hours. The battery packs will have 12 modules using prismatic cells and using nickel cobalt manganese or NCM 811, and they will be charged with a higher charging capacity than the Taycan, which was at 270 kilowatts, so it should be higher than that number. The press release will be linked below, as again it was very detailed, but here's an image of the upcoming Macan. And to wrap up today's video, Tesla has finally officially taken the crown of top luxury brand for 2022 away from BMW. And listen to this, this would be the first time a US automaker has held this title in 28 years, and the results were not close. Since Tesla does not break out sales by region, these are estimates, but according to Automotive News Research and Data, Tesla sold more than 491,000 cars in the US in 2022, 56% higher than 2021, which is 158,600 more than BMW sold over the same time frame, and BMW's number was 332.3 thousand. Tesla did those numbers despite the US luxury segment being down by 8% over the same time. So after Tesla and BMW taking 1-2, then we have Mercedes, Lexus, Audi, Cadillac, Acura, and Volvo in that order. So honestly, this is a major accomplishment for Tesla, and to have a US automaker taking the luxury sales crown, again, you'd think it's something that our government would want to celebrate. American-made dominance. But either way, this is a great foreshadowing of what's to come in the years ahead globally. And like we talked about yesterday, pretty much anywhere you look, Tesla is one of the best-selling vehicles, and it's crazy, but it's still just getting warmed up. On that note, that'll do it for today. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.